Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Fins Faithful podcast. As always, guys, we're live on YouTube and on X. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Boy, the Dolphins get a 29-17 victory over the San Francisco 49ers yesterday to keep the playoff hopes and dreams alive, guys. I see you, Steve. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to get into some Tyreek stuff, which I got my opinion on those post-game comments. We'll get into that. We'll get into also, could this possibly be the worst-case scenario for the Miami Dolphins' long-term view of the franchise? Winning's fun, but long-term, is this the worst-case scenario? And to help me break all that down, I got two friends of mine, two friends of the program. I got my boy Kenny, 1896 Vice, and, of course, Steve Malloy from the Real Talk Fins Talk on the Fins Talk Sports Network. Fellas, thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you guys like the Christmas decorations.
Great. Looks good.
How are you?
Excellent.
Doing good, man. Doing good.
All right.
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Thank you, George, for having me back on again. And Kenny, this first time meeting you.
Likewise.
It's great to see you here, brother.
Yes, sir. Likewise, brother.
Okay, so I guess let's jump right into it. If you said the Dolphins get 29-17 victory, I thought it was nice to get the running game back on track. Isaiah Wynn inserted into the starting lineup, but, kind of played the musical chairs with Liam Eichenberg there. I thought the offense was a bunch of the same. Dink and dunk, mostly A-Chain and Jonnu Smith in the passing game. But again, they added the running game. You see how much of a difference that makes. The defense complemented the style they played well, I thought. The big stop at the end with Cahoon with the interception. And, of course, A-Chain puts the dagger in them with the 50-yard touchdown run. So I thought it was a solid win, solid performance. Tua was solid. Tua was Tua. Let's get your general thoughts on the game, guys. We'll start with you, Steve. And then, Kenny, you can piggyback on it.
You wanted to start with me?
Yeah, Steve.
Come on,
really?
Yes, I wanted to start fresh and hot.
All right, I got you. No, I mean it was a good win. Okay, it was a good win for Miami. We needed it, and as you said, George, it does keep the playoff hopes alive, I guess you could say. Was it an impressive win? No, it's a typical Miami Dolphins win, just like the Jets win. We beat the Jets. Everybody was saying, "Oh my gosh, we're back in it." Everything is hunky dory. Everything's clicking. Blah blah blah. Did you see Tua? Did you see the defense? Blah blah blah. And we went to Houston and we got our asses handed to them. So it's the same old movie. It's a similar situation. We've seen this for the last 3 years. Okay. And am I happy they won? Of course. I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, been a fan since 1969. Okay. But A-Chan is a very dynamic player. He made that 50-yard, 55-yard run towards the end. Now, granted, it was towards the end of the game. The game was already, we already won that game. So, it's expected. Their defense was probably beat up, was like, they wanted the game to be over, really, to be honest with you. But anyway, nonetheless, it was a very impressive run by A-Chan. I like A-Chan. Right now, he's probably our best player on the football team. As far as hell, he's playing better than Tyreek this year. He's the most valuable player on the team. If that's the way I see it with A-Chan. I was a little concerned with him because of his size, but he's hung in there. He's taken the hits. He's been there. I know he missed that 1 or 2 games because of the concussion, but he came right back. Tua's Tua, as you said, George. He had an efficient game. He managed the game well. He had some really nice throws in that game. He had a couple throws that Tyreek missed. Let's say it as it is. Those are really nice balls by Tua, and Tyreek blew it and he missed them. But you can't always, we can talk about Tyreek missing the balls, but then we can also talk about the 2 interceptions that Tua almost threw right to the hands of the defenders and the fumble that it could have been a catastrophe. So we gotta, we can't just, we gotta have the same energy for all the players, not just Tua, not just Tyreek, but all the players. Holland, disappointment totally so far this year. Disappointment in this game. Poyer, disappointment in this game. And I don't know if he's going to be back with the team this year. I don't think any of those safeties will be back with the team next year. But anyway, that's yeah, exactly. But that's my overall take of the game. Not impressed. They beat the 6-8 San Francisco 49ers that was depleted. They lost 2 or 3 more players in that game. So it's just a typical same old Dolphins that we've seen for, I'm just going to go back as far as 3 years, right? When McDaniel became the head coach of the Miami Dolphins football team.
You can go back a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
I can go back way longer than that, but I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna say the most recent 2 or 3 years or 3 years, that we're looking at as far as the head coach as McDaniel goes.
All right, before you go, Kenny, shout out Cap for Life in the chat. Kadeem, thank you guys all for coming in the chat and joining us. Cap, I think both of y'all first time in the chat. I'm so glad you found the channel. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, Kenny, go ahead. Were you as excited as Stephen Ross for this victory?
Oh yeah, man. Especially when you're at the game, and you see all those Niners fans. I mean, how can you not be excited beating the Niners? It's still a storied franchise at the end of the day. I know they were banged up and everything, and I'm still saying that we're not making playoffs, just how I said last weekend. And obviously they got eliminated right before the game. I didn't know until after the game that they were eliminated. But still, man, I'll take a dub. I think I'm higher on the offense, putting on the performance that they did, because I remember in 2022 when we went out to San Francisco, I remember they gave us a lot of problems. I know we had like that first play, that I forget his name right now, but that first play to hit a touchdown back in 2022. Sherfield.
Yeah.
And ever since, and after that, it was just a complete meltdown on the offense. So I guess I'm proud of the offense from overcoming all the them throwing off the timing and Tua seeing the field better against them. So I'm impressed with that. Obviously, Reek had his drops. Tua had a few plays, but overall just did his thing. And obviously Achan's he's the catalyst, man. When he's going, it's probably gonna be a good day for Tua and the rest of the offense. Isaiah Wynn, man. I noticed it the first drive. I saw him get out in space and make a block, nowhere to go, second level, found who to block and make a hole. And when we needed it most, and I was paying attention once I saw that they were rotating, I thought he got hurt. I was so scared because I wasn't aware of why Liam Eichenberg was back in. But then when I saw him when it mattered most, obviously Achan bust the run to kind of seal the game late there. But I think it shows, man, like this interior, man, needs to get improved. And, I don't mind bringing Wynn back, but you got to have a backup plan as well for him. Jordan Brooks, man, I hope he's so undervalued, I think, in this defense, man. Jordan Brooks, the way he flies, the way he just isn't afraid to, plug a hole, read a screen, just throw his body around. The exact opposite applies to, Holland and Poyer, so same old story. Debo was giving them a hard time, man, especially after, his whole season. It's definitely disappointing in that sense, but, it's hard for me to get down after a win. I know would it matter at the end? And, like how you said, George, was it the worst possible outcome? I'm going to say no. I'd rather see my team win whenever I watch them play at the end of the day. So
we'll get into that.
My beginning thoughts of the game.
So, Steve, how much did you like the Isaiah Wynn impact? Did you think it? I know they there was like 2 plays in with Eichenberg, then 2 plays with Wynn. I mean, look, I don't think either one of them are great starting guards in this league. But I did notice on that last, like you said, the last run, A-Chain, that long run, kind of had the seal block on that, and maybe that's what was missing. And because remember last year when Wynn was in there, A-Chain had the big runs. I mean, maybe it's just the guard play. wasn't good enough,
Yeah.
and that's the difference. What were your thoughts there on Wynn and they're replacing Eichenberg, Steve?
No, well, for one thing, I'm glad Kenny mentioned Jordan Brooks. That's someone that I didn't bring up. He has been playing outstanding for us this year.
Yeah.
Solid linebacker for us. But yeah, going back to Wynn, Wynn is a good player when he's healthy. See, that's the thing, and
Exactly.
I know somebody
Yeah,
somebody mentioned in the chat, well, Greer got him. Yeah, he's a typical Greer guy, hurt. He gets hurt, and he came from New England. He had that same history with them. So when he's playing, he's solid. He's a lot better than Liam Eichenberg. Yes, he's missing. Definitely Wynn is missing on that as far as the guard position goes, for sure. I'd like to see Wynn in there more than I'd like to see Eichenberg. Absolutely, 100%. But I got to agree with you on that, George, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and Austin, again, thank you. We got Mia in the chat. We got DSG in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us. Yeah, some of the comments on the line, Austin Jackson, like Kadeem says, he's a big, especially on the outside zone stuff, I think is where they miss.
Getting out in space, yeah.
I know, Steve.
He's all right.
He's all right, but it's this particular offense is so strange. Like, everything is timing, it's practice. It's like when they lose a piece they can't overcome in this specific offense. Like even as we'll get to Tyreek in a bit here, he said, look, I need more reps, the chemistry. They practice this stuff. But Tua said, look, when we're not hitting it in practice, we take it to the side and we keep working on it. It's almost like I've always said, it's like a rehearsal. It's like a play rehearsal. Whether that's now there's a bigger question here. Is that good or bad that it's so reliant on that? I think that's a bigger issue. The offensive philosophy in general, that's another topic. But yeah, I just do think Austin Jackson's missed. But Steve, I agree with you. He's not a Pro Bowl elite top 5 right tackle in this league. He's maybe a little bit above average, if that.
Yeah,
and you got to
sure. He's solid. He's solid.
Yeah, you got to be able to overcome that. But I think those kind of things have really hurt the running game and all that.
It has, George, and you made a good point. I hate to be cutting in again, but no, you're right. You made a good point. No, you made a good point about Austin Jackson. In this particular offense, he fits the scheme, and he is missed in this particular offense for sure. 100%, I agree with you.
Yep.
Oh, we got a Greer supporter in here.
No, man, that's a rare one nowadays.
Let's go, Kadeem. Kadeem says I'm a Greer fan. He's not perfect, but I will defend his picks. Had a great offseason in Brooks, Brewer, Chop, Campbell, Jonu, Fuller, Washington, Wright. Okay, I mean, you're mentioning his hits. I mean, I will agree with you. I thought he did really good with the Brooks signing, the Brewer signing, Chop, Campbell, Jonu, Fuller, Washington, Wright. I mean, Wright still
100%.
Yeah, there's no debating. And I will say this, Kadeem, I don't think Chris Greer, and we'll talk about this as we talk about kind of Ross's reaction and what that means. I don't think Chris Greer's an awful GM. The problem is I don't think he's a great one either. I think he's just middle of the pack.
Can I just say, like, I just want to chime in a little bit. I don't think like you said, he's not a terrible GM. Like,
yes, he's not.
But I think my issue is the fundamental, like the philosophy that he uses to build the team. I think is what is
bingo
really preventing this team from achieving its potential, I guess. So that's my issue with him. I'm not saying he's bad. Obviously he had his misses. But I just think the philosophy that he uses or he tries to implement, just not enough O-line help for Tua, especially for a quarterback that needs the O-line. I feel like that's just something that has to change, and that's something that for me, it kind of outweighs his hits.
Before you jump in, Steve, because I know you probably want to jump in.
No.
No.
You know me, don't you?
Yeah. I know it's off topic. It's the overall, like you said, Kenny. It's the roster construction, the way he fundamentally believes in building the roster. You got to remember, this guy had all the resources, money,
and then some.
An owner who's willing to spend money, all the draft picks, whatever he wanted to do. Okay, whatever he wanted to do, And I've always said this. You look at draft picks. Look, Chop looks like a great pick right now. But remember, everything's still early. All right. But let's go back to the draft where you said he did good. Let's go back to a draft that everybody said was his best one, 21, right? The Waddle Phillips.
Right.
Let me tell you something. Not only they did a great trade to go back to 12, from 3 to 12, pick up 2 extra ones. Then the bad move was going back 12 to 6. You know who was picked 12 in that draft? I believe it was Micah Parsons. You could have had Rashawn Slater. You could have let the board play to you. And I don't want to get on this Greer tangent right now, but he brought it up, and I'll lose my thought later on in the show. You could have just let the board play and go up and trade a 3rd round pick to get Devontae Smith, and you could have had 2 number 1s. Not only to mention that, I like Jalen Phillips a lot, but where is he when we need him? Right? You drafted an injured player who, albeit was for concussions, and now he's having soft tissue injuries. And look, you can't control that. But when you draft guys who are injured, history tells us they'll stay injured, right? And as good as Jalen Phillips was, as the Javon Holland picks was, tell me how many Pro Bowl players there are there. Sometimes we evaluate this team in a vacuum for the standards that we have. And when you take the zoom out 30,000 feet and you look at all the organizations, yeah, it's good. You're going to hit. You're going to hit on the 6th pick on a wide receiver. If you miss at number 6 on a wide receiver, that's right there is a fireable offense.
Well, George, let me say, just to add on that, I think the real indictment, if you're just talking about pass rushers, one thing is drafting JP, but the other thing is trading and investing in Bradley Chubb, who had a history getting hurt as well.
Good point, brother.
So, one thing is drafting a player. Hey, man, sometimes he's unlucky, but to trade and invest in that player, I know he's good, but where is he as well? And unfortunately, he got hurt last year, and basically garbage time. But I think that's even more of an indictment for Chris Grier.
Yeah, this gets into like the AVG stuff. This gets into roster construction. As good as Chop looks now, you re-sign AVG, he's giving you similar, if not obviously better production, and you have Grant Barton as your interior guard right now. That's the right move. That's how you construct.
Yeah. Mike is gone.
You're mute. You're on mute. You're on mute, George. Mute.
You got too excited. There you go. You're back.
You're good.
Chris Grier. That was the Dolphins. Hey, that was the Dolphins. That was the Dolphins.
Yep. They're watching you, man. The media.
Hey, that's good, though. It hasn't happened
The media department is watching you, man.
I'm growing an audience here. There you go. I've reached the training facility over there at Hard Rock Stadium. Anyways, where was I with this? Oh, roster construction. Look, if you re-sign AVG, you don't have to drop. Again, Chop is not the problem here. But you take a Grant Barton, you have your starting guard / center for the next 10 years, and you have somebody who's giving this the production of AVG. It's how you play with the pieces. Every team has a certain amount of puzzle pieces they can play with. Who constructs it better is the teams who win. Okay? Mm-hmm. And nobody has more resources than Grier. And here's another problem for me. Name me the power move. Where's the power move? Buffalo. You have to have, cojones the size of this to go up and take a chance on a quarterback who everybody says is not accurate. They do it. Baltimore, let's go back up and let's get Lamar Jackson. Kansas City, let's go up and get Mahomes. All guys who had question marks. And let's be honest, at that same time, the Dolphins quarterback situation wasn't good. This goes beyond this year. This is a bigger picture. And I want to thank Kadeem for filling in this time because he got us rolling here on the Grier stuff.
I can only wait to see Steve's thoughts on Grier.
I'm saving Steve for last. Hey, hold on, Steve. Hold on. I'm saving you for last. So it's that overall kind of, philosophy. And it changed in midway. What happened? We were collecting all these picks. All of a sudden now you said Bradley Chubb, Kenny. Now we're trading them all, right? And we mentioned Steve on the show. What was the wrong move starting with trading for Tyreek Hill? Because we look at numbers, we look at all these fancy things. It's style over substance. And I think that's what this organization's been these last few years under Grier and McDaniel. But, yeah, it's kind of – the organization needs a fresh philosophy, fresh thinking,
Yeah.
fresh deposition, fresh culture. Their personnel department needs new ways how to scout players and how to construct a roster. Now, Steve, the floor is yours.
Bring it, baby.
Go, bring it.
No.
I want to be able to put this on a YouTube short. Bring it.
No. You guys touched on it. You touched on it. Kenny touched on it. He said it. He hit the nail on the head. The philosophy is not working. The philosophy is he's been here for 25 years.
Mhm.
We haven't been to a playoff in 25 years. Now I know he wasn't part of as being a GM, but he was a GM. He's been a GM since 2016. Okay. And we haven't won a playoff game. And as you said, George or Kenny, one of you two said it, yeah, is he a good GM? Sure, he's a good GM, maybe a top 15, top 20. But is top 15, top 20 GM going to get you to the Super Bowl?
Yep.
Is it going to create a team that's in the playoffs every year and is winning and they're winning the division? When's the last time we won a division? That's the kind of things you have to look at, the overall picture, and people are focusing in on the players because, I like this player. I like that player. Oh, he picked that player. I like him. Oh, I like that. But you got to look at the overall picture, right? Those favorite players that you have are not cutting it in this philosophy that he has. Maybe we got another GM and they brought in another vision, another philosophy, right? Even with some of the core players that we have on this team, maybe this team would be maybe they would be going in a different direction right now, right? But he hasn't done that, and he's been here for 25 years. Now, I want to ask you something, George and Kenny.
Okay.
Do you think I'm going to ask you two questions. The first question I have is, since we're on the Greer topic, okay, let's give Greer the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's the scouting department that is, because they're the ones going out. They're out they're out there in the field, scouting and recruiting these players and things like that. Maybe the scouting department, maybe that needs to be revamped. Maybe he has too much trust in the scouting department as Ross has too much trust in Greer. Maybe Greer has too much in his scouting trust in his scouting department. Do you think that might be the case?
I mean, doesn't he also have a whole control over the scouting department? I mean, maybe not the whole control, but I feel like if you're gonna build like the front office, right, and you have a certain philosophy, you're gonna tell your scouts to look for these types of players, and those scouts are gonna listen to you at the end of the day. I think that's how it works. Maybe I'm terribly wrong on this, but I believe the GM overall, is the head honcho in terms of who we're trying to bring in, what type of players we're going to really prioritize in the draft, and so on. So I think that's how it works. But at the end of the day, you as a GM, you need to know what you're trying to build, how you're trying to build it, and you have the final say in everything that comes, unless you're obviously consulting, McDaniel or whoever the head coach is. So I'm under the belief that Greer oversees all of the scouting department, and I feel like even if you're putting your full trust in the scouting department, you're the one who's guiding them or just instructing them on what you're looking for, in my opinion. So I still put that all on Greer, no matter how you look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you, Kenny. The buck stops with Greer. And if I'm Mr. Ross or if I'm Greer, I want to see, I want to see the scouting reports. Show me who you guys are bringing the table for. Show me the players that were successful and that we missed. Show me what your scouting report was on him. Show me what your scouting report was on Josh Allen, on Mahomes, on TJ Watt over Charles Harris. Why did we make those decisions? Okay, everybody misses, right? But we seem to miss at the position that it's not like a wide receiver went in front of us, but we picked a DN. We pick a DN, and the DN that goes right after us is we're gonna wear a gold jacket soon. You know what I mean? We needed a center guard. We let Creed Humphrey go by. What was the scouting? Why did we do that? Right? I think every team should do that. Why did we do that? Yeah. What was your report on him? You're the regional scout there for that. Who's the director of college scouting? What was your suggestion to the general manager when you have to put that in? Those are the things I'd be looking at. But it stops with Greer, and he's been here too long. We're on year 6 of a We're on year 6 of a rebuild, and I hate to do this after a nice win. And we want, and this is nothing. We all want this team to win. Again, I have to make this statement, this disclaimer. I want this team to win. I invested a lot of time, money, and my life in this organization, right? So is Steve, so is Kenny. Kenny's a season ticket holder, right? His week gets destroyed based on what happens with the Dolphins, right? Yeah. I'm sure his girlfriend hates when the Dolphins lose because he knows, okay, we're not gonna have a good night. She knows. Let's be quiet, right? Yeah. So it just has to change, and we're in this. 100%. It's like we're stuck in mud. I predicted. I don't know who was. There were 2-6. I said, guys, I don't know who it was. It was Kenny, Steve. It could have been one of you guys, or it could have been Bobby. I said, here's what's going to happen. We're going to beat the teams we're supposed to beat, lose to the ones we're supposed to lose to. We'll win 8-9 games, back into the playoffs, or more than likely not just miss it. And what's going to happen? The excuse wagon, it'll be enough to get Chris Greer over the line with his excuses of, if Tua wasn't hurt, or this ball bounced this way, or the injuries on the offensive line. Next year, guess what? We're going to pay more attention to the trenches. That's going to be our narrative we're going to sell this year. And they're going to do that. Bottom line.
Seems to be heading that way.
It's heading that way. Yeah. Bottom line.
It's definitely going to be going that way for sure. And you go ahead, George, but I wanted to make a point of something that I heard. You go ahead, brother.
No, go ahead. I forgot my. Oh, okay.
I messed you up.
No. Right. Bottom line.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't care. It's going to be tough for me to do off-season shows. Of course, I'll do them with Chris Greer back because I already know how this book and chapter is going to be written, right? And eventually he'll be gone, but it'll be a year or two too late. And I'm sad to say this. I think the only time this team's going to have success is probably when Stephen Ross is no longer the owner.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he wants to make change. Dude, he's 80-something years. How old is he?
84.
84 years old. He doesn't want to interview another guy, get to know a guy. I will give them credit. All right. I know I'm going along in this. It seems like there's not a lot of dysfunction. I think there's harmony in the organization right now. But what does that mean? Yeah. Harmony, if it's not working, doesn't matter to me. Right. And here's the other problem, though, too. If you get rid of Greer, it's honestly, there's zero chance McDaniel's going anywhere. All right. Zero, by the way.
He gave him the football for Christ's sakes. He gave him the football like they won the division or something.
I thought we won the AFC Championship yesterday.
I was like, what the heck?
All right, so
come on, guys, we're still alive, guys. We're still alive in the hunt. We're in the hunt.
We're in the hunt. We'll talk about the playoff scenarios. I do think it's more realistic than we're giving it credit for. Again,
you think?
Well, yeah, we'll go over the scenarios.
Okay,
right? But yeah, he's not capable of building. I'm going to say it. He's not capable of building a roster to win a championship. He's just not. He's not. And if you're trying to win, if your standards are high, if your Super Bowl standards are high, Chris Greer's not the general manager of your football team. So for me, Steve Ross is okay with just, winning, barely getting to the playoffs, being somewhat relevant. He seems to be okay with that. Based on yesterday's kind of reaction, and I know people say, "Oh no, it's just he likes to win." No, Stephen Ross, you can read those kind of things on him. I've seen
he was making a statement. That was a statement.
Yeah,
when he gave the football to Mike McDaniel, and he said all those things, and then he was all rah 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 and all that. That was a statement saying he's happy with his team. He's comfortable with the coach. He's comfortable with the GM that he has in place. That was a statement. That's not something that he just happened to do it because of the game. Yeah. No, this was premeditated. I'm going to make a statement because you don't think he knows what's going on with the fan base. All the complaining and bickering.
There's a whole plane out there with a sign.
And a whole plane out there with a sign. Exactly. He knows damn well what's going on.
Yeah.
To get to my point, George, if you don't mind. I was watching the Dave Hyde. I like Dave Hyde.
Dave
along
Hyde.
with Chris Perkins.
Oh, too. I love Perk. I had Perk on.
I like both of them, but
Yeah.
here's what I heard. Here's what I heard though. Here's what I heard. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking, and I'm not going to quote exactly what they said because number one, I'm an old man and I don't remember. but the bottom line is, they were talking about Greer, and right away, guess where the pointing fingers went to? Take a wild guess.
Tua?
No, not Tua.
Mike
McDaniel.
Oh,
Mike McDaniel. Yeah, they were making it out to be like Mike McDaniel had all this power and all this say about Tua getting paid and all this say about the draft picks that he chooses, that he has a lot of say in who he wants and all this kind of crap. No, I saw this coming 2 years ago when McDaniel was talking in an interview, and he said, yeah, we want to get Tua more weapons. We're not concerned with the O-line. We think we need more weapons than anything else. That was a setup by Chris Greer. He's a sly like that, man. He is so good at surviving, and he's already set it up that if anything does go down, McDaniel's going to be the guy, and he's going to be the guy standing around, again, here in this organization. He knows how to survive. He's been here for 25 years, dude.
Yeah.
Okay?
And not a playoff win.
You can't tell me that a greenhorn coach that's never freaking even called a play in the NFL is going to come to the organization that he's been at for 25 years and tell him who he wants.
Yeah.
That's bull crap.
You know why he does that? Because Chris Greer has absolutely no conviction. Okay?
None.
He doesn't know how to stand on a table and make a decision on a player. That's going to put his name on it, and where he can go to the table and he can get fired for it. He will always have an excuse. Yep. But guess what? I blame Mr. Ross for that. When you started the rebuild and you let him run the organization, the buck stops with you. You got to be smart enough to know when a Mike McDaniel suggestion is good for the franchise or not. I'm done with that. I'm done with that.
Yeah.
And
Same here.
I don't blame Greer. If Greer's allowed to do it, okay. Yeah. I would do it on my job if I could. It's his responsibility. No other GM in the league gets that kind of leeway. Name me another one who can blame everything on their coach after coach after coach. You want to talk about something? You start a rebuild and you thought it was a good idea after you interviewed Brian Flores to hire him on a rebuild? No way. That was his first mistake. Okay? You guys want to add anything to that or take it any direction you want? Anything more to add on Greer?
I think we're beating a dead horse.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I think.
Like DSG says,
I agree with him. We're beating a dead horse because he's not going anywhere. McDaniel's not going anywhere, and Ross ain't going anywhere until he sees this Lord and Maker. So,
and look, I'm not the biggest.
It is what it is.
Ross, especially down here in South Florida, just like with all the sports teams. Especially like the Marlins and stuff, like owners that don't spend money. So I will give him that. He transformed that stadium. He invested a lot into the team.
100%. Yeah.
100%. But yeah, like when it comes down to the football decision making, I think you gotta see. I don't know, like you have to see that there's just something wrong. Like I still believe in. I know not everybody's with this, but I still believe in McDaniel and just giving him a little more time just to develop. But yeah, Greer, who's been here for that amount of time, he's head honcho, making decisions at this point, still getting them wrong. I think enough is enough at this point. But
it is enough is enough, but nothing's going to happen because we got people that are Dolphins fans that I saw when I went to the Houston game a couple weeks ago. I was in the stadium and I was sitting in the stadium. And Tua's throwing these interceptions and he's making these turnovers and all this, all these turnovers and stuff. Had a terrible game. And I stood up after he threw that last interception. And I was surrounded by Dolphins, believe it or not. In Houston, we got a lot of Dolphins. There was a lot of Aqua and Orange in that stadium.
Vince traveled well, man. Vince traveled well.
Yeah, but anyway, so when I stood up and I was yelling, I was saying, "Tua, you suck. You suck." And then he's walking off the field and the coaches are patting Tua on the back. I said, "And you're patting him on the back after making an intercept, blah blah blah." I was yelling and screaming. And you see there was a lady that was sitting below me, right? And I was standing up, she's sitting down there, and the man next to me was another Doll fan, right? And they were looking at me like I was crazy, like I was like looking at me like cross-eyed. And then on my show the other night, I had mentioned these are the type of fans that are going to allow this crap to go on. They don't care. They got their favorite players, and as long as their favorite players are playing good, or I don't know what it is, man, but they just accept mediocrity. They accept that crap. And we don't, as a Dolphin football team and organization, we don't have any standards. They don't have any standards. Their standard is win and maybe win 9 or 10 games, maybe make it to the playoffs. But hey, if we don't, it's okay. We'll do it again next year. And then they start over. Then everybody hypes back. The media puts out all the hype and everything on the social media, and then everybody joins the hype train again, only to get let down and thrown off the train again the following year. Mm-hmm. And it's gonna be like that until they fix this front office.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I was thinking, I say, man, we all have a short memory of what happens, like the week before or 2 weeks before. It's like it's a week by week storyline, and we kind of forget.
Exactly.
And I guess it's human nature.
I forgot what happened against the Houston game.
Yeah.
I guess it's human nature, but I guess the only positive is, I don't like getting rid of one without the other. Because even if you just got rid of Greer only and you kept McDaniel, you're not going to get the best hire, and we're going to see this whole thing happen again in 3 or 4 years. So maybe if it finally happens, not that I want to see McDaniel. I'm not as down on McDaniel as everybody else. I know a lot of people are. I was willing to give him another year, but if he has to go because that means him and Greer go, I'd be fine with that. I'm not married to the idea. But anyways, I guess we'll put the Greer issue to bed here. We'll have a lot of time in the offseason to talk about that. But let's get to the Tyreek Hill issue here.
Oh,
not
bro.
only
bro.
And before we do that, guys, please hit that like and subscribe button to the channel.
Hit it.
If you're watching on X, come on YouTube, smash that like and subscribe button. I'm joined by Kenny and Steve from the Real Talk Fins Talk on the Fins Talk Sports Network. All right, Tyreek Hill. Now, I don't know about you guys. That post-game press conference, I watch a guy whose ego's hurt. He's been humbled, all right? And he was making a lot of excuses in the book. Now, if anybody who lived under a rock and don't know what he said, he basically said the lack of practice time with Tua is hurting him. Because I think he says on that first one, he didn't get his head around quick enough. That hit him in the breadbasket. 2 great throws by Tua. All right.
Absolutely.
Now, the second one might have been tipped. Whatever. I'll give him that. But coming after that first one, you see why fans are frustrated with him. Why? My question is, why did he? If this was his thoughts and what he was feeling was hurting his season, why did he mention this in December? Why wasn't this something he mentioned early on in November or October? Because he hasn't been. Apparently, he was doing the Wednesday. Was it the Wednesday? The veteran days off he's been taking.
Yeah,
I guess because of I don't know. He's nicked up the wrist, whatever the knee.
Right.
A, why is he mentioning it now? And B, it just sounded like a bunch of excuses to me. You're a $34 million receiver. You went from the number 1 receiver in the NFL, who, by the way, if you really look closely in big games, didn't show up, right? If you really, if you really zoom into it, 200 yards or 170 yards versus the New York Giants means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But what would your guys' take on the drops, I guess, but more on his comments? And another thing before you guys go is what does he say he's been dealing? My teammates know what I've been dealing with. Well, can you tell us? Because I'm not sure. What the wrist injury? Was it something personal, or it just to me sounded like a guy whose ego's been hurt, and was just making excuses to why he didn't perform well and he dropped 2 passes. Whichever one of you guys want to go first, and the other one can jump in right after.
Let me hop in, Steve. Just one. Like I just have one.
Yeah, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
One. I don't know. Look. Waddle has his issues. All right. I know he's not the best with his hands, and he struggled with that recently as well, like this year. But I never hear McDaniel saying Waddle was out of position. He ran the wrong route. He did this. Or, I mean, I guess McDaniel hasn't said it specifically towards Tyreek, but every time there's like a question mark regarding the player wasn't at the right spot, it's always Reek. Always Reek. So that's where it starts. My issue with him is just also the tweets afterwards, and just like the whole song and dance that he does. And you know what? And I respect it in the sense of you're not hiding, and you'll take, even though he likes to troll and stuff, you're not hiding. But at some point, man, like at some point, you just have to improve. You have to improve. You're the highest paid player. Well, yeah, I guess he is the highest paid player in this roster, and he's just not coming through in those situations, man. Like time and time again. And this wasn't even like like we're about to win the division, type game, like a massive game, playoff game. It was just, a 49ers team that was struggling this year, and which is still a formidable team, and he still struggled, that's my thing, like I feel like a lot of things happen around him. And like, look, if you're going to be a headache, or not a headache, I hate to say this, man, just because I don't know, whatever he does off the field, he does off the field. You're your own man. But yeah, just like everything that surrounds him, and then just like the way he approaches it as well, or he just comes out after the game or before the game, it really irks me, really the wrong way, man. And it's just like, I don't know, maybe I'm getting used to like Waddle being quiet and Tua being quiet, and just taking on the responsibility and walking and live to see the next week. It's just the way it goes about it. It's just struggling. And then, when you pay somebody that money to be your best receiver, best player on offense, technically, I expect you to do what you're supposed to do with that type of, expectation. And he's not living up to it, unfortunately. And, I said it last week, George, and I think I'm considering it a little more now, if not saying I would just ship him out for anything. But if you're telling me we're going to ship him out, maybe it's not the best return, but we're going to invest that money into the O-line. I'm not really thinking twice anymore.
If you get Tyreek off the books, I think that's the biggest return. I think you get a 3rd or 4th round pick, and you still might have to eat a little bit of that salary. Kind of like, you remember what they did with Tannehill?
Yeah.
They basically bought a 4th round pick from the Tennessee Titans.
Eat it.
So some team will take Tyreek, but I said before the season, and before I started doing the YouTube, one of my top 5 hot takes was this was Tyreek Hill's last year with the Dolphins. I mean, I'm not ready to go completely. That's not the case. But if you're asking me, if you want to construct the roster right, you got to move some money off that wide receiver group and put it in the trenches. But go ahead, Steve. Now you can jump in on this.
Well, I always like to give everyone a dose of reality.
A little real talk.
Here's the dose of reality. Tyreek is not going anywhere. He's not.
Really?
They're not going to let him go. They're not going to do it. He's too valuable of a player for Tua, whether he catches the ball or not. He's a decoy. Devon Achane, when they were running good and stuff like that, that opens up the running game. It opens up those lanes where Tua is hitting Jono Smith. Jono Smith wouldn't have the year he's having if it wasn't for Tyreek Hill. Trust me. Okay.
No, I agree with that.
Defensive coordinators, they specifically game plan for Tyreek Hill, not Tua Tagovailoa. Nobody fears Tua Tagovailoa. Trust me. Nobody fears Devon Achane. Nobody fears Jono Smith. They fear Tyreek Hill, and that's what's opening those little short passes in 3 or 4 year little bubble screens and stuff like that. Is Tyreek opening up the middle of the field, open up a space so those guys can go out there and catch the ball, and Tua can get them the ball right efficiently. Tyreek Hill has been a headache ever since he's come to the Miami Dolphins. Okay, he got arrested at the beginning of the season, right? Because of his antics. He got arrested because of his antics when he hit the guy, slapped the boat captain, was it last year, right? He trolls all the time on Twitter. Win or lose, dude, you're 6-8 or 7-8 now, and you're trolling on Twitter. You know what I mean? And joking around and I'm gonna go coach or whatever he said, in that tweet and stuff like that. And those other times he had a divorce, he had divorce papers set up and everything. Again, I agree with you, Kenny. Whatever he does off the field, fine, but it does affect the team. He doesn't make the organization look very good. Okay, and then he's calling out bullshit. Excuse me for cursing.
That's
he's
right.
calling out bull crap to the papers reporting that he's getting a divorce with his wife when you can go to it's a public record, and people went and got the public record showing where he put in for a divorce with his wife. Okay. Little stuff like that. He didn't have to say anything. Just shut up, Tyreek. Just shut your mouth. Don't say anything. Don't put your foot in your mouth. That's the way. And I blame that on the organization. I blame that on McDaniel. I blame that on Chris Greer. Javon Holland. I know we're going off track a little bit here, but it's all in the organization's fault. Okay. You got Javon Holland when Fangio left, kicking rocks on social media. Stupid stuff like that. That should not be allowed. Okay. It should not be allowed. The whole culture needs to change down there in Miami. It's got to change.
Wait,
okay?
Steve, can I? But
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I'm sorry, I cut you off in the wrong time. Yeah, I agree.
No, you're good. You're good.
But I really want to get you before we get off track again.
Sure.
So let's say trading. I mean, you said you fear. I'm not disputing that. I know teams definitely fear, trying to cover Tyreek. But even in the big games, you see Waddle, you see Hill get rerouted. O-line can't hold. There's nothing open. Tua's got to just eat the sack, throw it away. Wouldn't you rather maybe not get as open as quickly, but your O-line holds for 3 seconds?
The O-line was holding for 3 seconds in Houston.
But I'm not necessarily
okay. What I'm saying,
I'm just saying, if in the running game as well, it's more of an impact, in the pass protection, just along those aspects. I'm not obviously. I know the O-line isn't just giving up sacks and stuff like that on a consistent basis.
I agree with you though. The O-line is poor, no doubt about that. I agree with you 100%. So what were you trying to? What's the point you're trying to make?
So would you give up Reek for a better running game with the O-line and slightly better pass protection?
Yeah, I would, but this organization is not going to do it. That's what I'm saying. That's my point. This organization is not going to do that. And DSG, they haven't done it. They haven't done it in 6 years. They're not going to do it now.
And DSG, I'm not saying he hasn't had time, but I just feel like in those critical, and not even just in the pass game, I'm just talking about 3rd and 1, we need the yard. Let's get it. Come on, big boy football.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I know what you're saying. And this is, I've been saying it. George has been saying it. The Fence Talk Sports Network folks on that platform has been saying it. Other platforms are saying it, but they're not doing it. They're not going to do it as long as Greer's not. That's not his vision. That's not his philosophy.
At the end of the day, they have to do the change. Yeah.
But I would like to see that. I would love for Tyreek to trade Tyreek because he's not getting any younger. And that's another thing, right? I don't know what you all agree. See if you all agree with this. Do you think he might? Maybe he is. Maybe he's slowing down a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you all think?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I know that's been thrown out there. I don't think so. I don't know what it is. I don't know what has turned him in from the number 1 receiver to Devon Best. You know what I mean? He has 3 catches for 27 yards yesterday. He's the 3rd leading receiver on the team. Okay, this offense, this passing game, say what you want, is dink and dunk now, right? That 70-point Denver, that's history. They figured the team out. The Dolphins have countered, and it's with the stuff that you said. And going back to your point, Steve, you said, well, yeah, he's the decoy to open up the underneath stuff, but do we even want that? What has that gotten us? To me,
good point. Good
invest on
point.
the
Very good point. Yeah.
And this nonsense that Tua needs guys to separate. Look what he's doing with Jonnu. Go get me a big receiver and have Waddle. Hey, Jalen, you were the 6th pick overall. Okay, I traded back up to get you. I passed up the Hall of Fame offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're the guy.
He's done it though. He did it his rookie year.
Yeah. You know who I'm
Yeah,
getting?
he did real well in his rookie year.
You know who I'm getting? I'm trying to get Najee Harris. That's who I'm getting back here.
Really? Oh, really?
And as a free agent.
Okay. I mean,
stay with me. Stay with
George, I agree with you, George. But you know, Mike McDaniel, he don't like them big backs.
Wait a minute.
They got rid of Chris Brooks.
Yeah.
Chris Brooks. We don't have to get a Najee Harris. We had a Chris Brooks. Would have been sufficient.
Let's not put Chris Brooks in the Hall of Fame here. Okay, Chris Brooks.
I'm not putting him in the Hall of Fame, but he would have done the trick if you need a yard or two.
I love Devon Achane.
Oh, you mean a bell cow?
Yeah, a bell cow. Look, I love Devon Achane, and we haven't talked. In fairness to him, we haven't talked about the game he had yesterday.
He's been phenomenal.
He's phenomenal. All right, for his size, what he does in the passing game, the running, everything. But
he's my size. I stood next to the kid, man. I'm like, dude, you got a lot of curves going in there and getting hit by those big guys. Because I'm 5'8", about 195. He's 5'8", 5'9", about my size. Actually, I weigh more than him. And I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah. Well, Steve, you know what my favorite play was during the Texas game? It wasn't even like a running play. It was that he chased down the interception.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that, man. I'm like, God, dog, look at that dude.
That was my favorite play the whole game by him.
Yeah, it was a good play. That was the best play. It really was. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, George. I'm sorry.
No, it was fun. And look, as much as we talk about worst case scenario that they win all these games and still not probably make the playoffs, it was fun watching Devon Achane run that 50-yard run last week.
Absolutely. I was standing up in on my chair in the house, man. I was like, oh, God.
And I much prefer to talk about those kind of things. But I don't know if I'm scarred for the past 30 years, but I always look at the bigger picture because I can tell when a team's going in the right direction. You know what I mean? You can tell. Look at the Detroit Lions. They might have won 3 games, but I saw the way they were building this thing, building it. And you knew the direction. I don't know the Dolphins' direction here.
Again, I don't think they know the direction.
Everything we do is somewhere in
the
middle.
Do you know what Chris Greer's philosophy is?
No.
I don't.
Other than speed, I don't know.
I don't know what a Chris Greer team looks like because he hands what a head coach wants. I thought it was a lot of screen.
I don't know about that, but
okay. What do you? I mean, I don't.
Well, he said it that the coach
I think he had.
No. I know. It's no excuse for Greer. I'm not saying that, but he does that purposely. So you don't really find out what is your team if you don't listen to your coach.
You might have a point there. Yeah.
I don't know what your team is, right? It's your fault.
Yeah, right.
Look, every GM listens to their coach, right? They get their input.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
But those are just suggestions. You know what I mean? Let's have, the Detroit Lion GM could go and say, let's take Waddle over Sewell. He's not going to do that. No. You know what I mean? I know you like Waddle, but hey, coach, we need this offensive lineman. This is going to open up things for us. He counters him and he gives him the reasons and it gets him on board, not the other way around. Not the coach getting the GM on board. And that's kind of the problem here. Starting back to when, again, everything comes back to Greer because that is the problem with this team. You know what I mean? But anyways, what were we talking about? Tyreek Hill.
Reek, yeah.
Anything to add on Reek? Let me ask you this. Because I'm having trouble pinpointing the reason why he hasn't been successful this year. I don't think he's lost a step to the fact that, like you said, Steve, teams still fear him. They still play that too high against us, even though I saw a lot less of that and more single high because, Waddle's not there. So the pick your poison thing is not available. So
they played a lot of zone. They played a lot of zone.
Ton of zone. I do think the deep stuff was there in Houston too. The deep ball was there in Houston. If you saw that double move,
it was.
They didn't. They were like they're not throwing it deep. You know what I mean? So I think.
Well, I think I have to say, and like you're going back to Houston, and I was there, and there were many times Tyreek was wide open, and so was Craycraft. Okay, I saw a lot of times, and Tua didn't even look that way, man.
Yeah.
You know, if he did one of them fakes again to try to manipulate the safeties of the linebackers, and he went back and threw that little bubble screen. Reek was wide open in the goal line. He was wide freaking open, and he was wide open the other day too. When this last game, what happened where Reek was open for the first down, and he went and threw it somewhere else. You remember that?
In the Houston game?
He's been like that all. No. This last game,
San Fran.
Reek was wide open for the first. San Francisco. He was wide open for the first down. Tua didn't even look at him.
I know the play you're talking about.
Wide freaking open, man. He's been like that all year. I don't know if McDaniel's not confident enough that Tua can't throw those outside the numbers throws or what it is. Maybe Tua's got an arm problem this year that we're unaware of. I don't know.
It's weird though.
You know what I mean?
Sorry to cut you off.
It's weird, man.
Yeah. It's almost like
you're good. I've been cutting you off.
It's almost like now Tua is so programmed to go in the underneath stuff, he's forgetting about the deep. It's almost like we can only do one thing at a time in this offense. You know what I'm saying? We can either, all right, now the philosophy is everything's underneath. That's what it's almost like we can't program and like we can't walk and chew gum, kind of. And that's a kind of indictment on Tua quietly, but I'm not saying that. But I mean, it's just like, okay, how about we do both? You know what I mean? Not everything has to be just one thing. Either we're this high octane offense that throws downfield, doesn't look at a tight end or running back in the backfield, or all right, all of a sudden, this too high. Everything is you're running back and tight end are the two leading receivers on your team. Sorry, that can't happen. When you have $50 million invested at that position yearly, cannot happen. So you got to build an offense or get rid of players and change philosophies, right? And I want to ask you this, Steve and Kenny. If Tua had a good O-line and he had 3 seconds to throw, what changes? For
Nothing.
Tua?
Nothing. Because
there's the question.
He is what he is. He is what he is. Steve. I've seen it when he's had passes.
Steve.
I've seen it where he's had 3-4 seconds to throw. He gets happy feet. He doesn't know what to do. This is why the offense is designed the way it is.
So Steve, I'm going to cut you off first. So nobody's talking about that part, right? Everybody's saying, let's give him the better O-line more time. Have you thought of this quick passing game brings out the best in Tua and maybe the other one doesn't? As crazy as that sounds, it makes no logical sense. But if you look at Tua, everything is he does it unbelievable. He can throw to a spot and anticipate a throw and put it on a better than anybody. That's his strength. 100%. I don't know for like a Josh Allen, 3 or 4 seconds makes a huge difference. For a Tua, he's more comfortable. That RPO stuff, quick hit, get it out there. Where it's timing. He's got to trust the receivers. The receivers got to be in the spot, and there's no quarterback on this planet that can get it there better than him. The question comes in: is that the style most effective? Does that win? Okay, and that's part of the reason why the O-line they haven't put as much resources because they believe this is the best for Tua, and nobody's talking about that. Everybody's saying automatically we build this wall, things get better, right? I'm not sure that this quick how do I put this? You know what I'm trying to say. I'm not sure the difference is going to be as effective for Tua as it is for another quarterback based on his skill set. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on that? It seems crazy because better O-line usually results into better success for the quarterback.
Yeah.
But this guy is different, Either one of you guys take that.
Yeah, he is different. He is different. Well, number one, I think
Am I crazy, Steve?
One of the reasons why it's set up that way. No, you're not crazy. One of the reasons why I believe it's set up that way is to protect Tua. Okay? Because you don't want a guy back there getting another concussion, right? I think a lot of that is for his own protection, getting the ball off quick. Number two, we have seen him when he's had some time to throw the ball, and you get the same results. Okay, I'm not saying Tua is a bad quarterback. He's a good quarterback. Okay. I just don't think he's the guy that's going to take us to the promised land, whether we have a good line or we have a bad line. He is what he is. You've already seen the ceiling of Tua in 2022. All right. You've seen that ceiling. Okay. Because each year after that, okay, I don't believe he's improved at all. He's just the same guy. And I've said this before. Follow me on this, okay? All Mike McDaniel did was went over 700 plays on film with Tua Tagovailoa. And McDaniel has said this himself. And he picked the good plays that Tua does well, and he put the other plays that Tua doesn't do well in a box. And then he put the good plays in a box. He kept that box out, and he put that box that Tua doesn't do good at away in the closet, locked it up, and threw away the key. The only problem with that is when it's working, it looks beautiful. When it's bad, it looks bad. And when good defenses, not just defenses, but the personnel, the defensive coordinators, when they expose his weaknesses or make him throw his weaknesses outside the numbers, mobile, right? Moving out of the pocket. He's not very good at throwing on the run. I'm not saying he can't do it. He has done it. He can't go off script. Things like that. Throwing outside the numbers, throwing comeback routes. Well, how many times have you seen a comeback route in the last 3 years? None. Because he doesn't have the bullet. He doesn't have the arm to do it. So McDaniel's done a great job in putting away all his weaknesses in that closet, locked the closet, threw away the key, and he's put them in that box. And that's what they utilize. And he's very efficient, and he's very good at what he does. He's got a quick release. Okay. And now this anticipation bullcrap is not anticipating. He's not a good anticipator. Because if he was a good anticipator, if he's got 3 seconds back there to throw the ball, or 4 seconds, which he has at times, he completely loses it. He gets lost. Anticipation in real time is when you go back to throw the ball and Tyreek gets rerouted, and then he's got to come back to and run a different route, and he's not in that spot where he's supposed to throw it, and then he throws it. That's anticipation. But when you go back and you already know where you're going to throw it, right? And you throw it to that spot blindly 70% of the time, right? Or he tries to manipulate or whatever. Everybody thinks he's processing. He's not. He's manipulating, right? He goes like this, and then he goes, right? He knows where he's throwing. That's not anticipation. He already knows where he's going to throw it. Because look at some of those interceptions that he has sometimes. You're like, what the hell? Why did he throw that ball? And we've had people that have played with him. Sherfield, for instance, Kenny, said Tua is going to throw, whether you're in that spot or not, Tua is going to throw it anyway. And what have we seen?
But let me say, Trent Sherfield had his best career year with Tua. Let me just say that.
That's fine. That's fine. Because when you get a quarterback back there that works like George has said, right? It's all timing. And he's throwing thousands of reps to these receivers. That's why other quarterbacks come into this system and they look like crap, because they don't have the timing down with those receivers. They don't have the timing and the hours that they put in with these receivers. Okay, then we're going to talk about, oh man, he sucks. He don't look good. Well, how in the hell are you going to put two quarterbacks, Huntley and Skylar Thompson, in there, and you're going to try to replicate what you do with Tua? You can't do it.
Yeah. I will say this.
Of course he looks like the best quarterback we've had since Marino.
Well, he definitely is. I think he is.
Yeah,
that's I don't think that's that
since Marino, he's definitely the best quarterback.
I do think Steve, his accuracy is something that's pretty rare. I do think that.
No, it's not.
I disagree with you.
He has, it's okay. He has terrible anticipation. And if you look at you talk about accuracy, when freaking Tyreek has to come back for the ball, if Tyreek didn't have to come back for the ball every time he throws it, Tua would be terrible. You would say, man, this guy has terrible ball placement, man. Come on. Look at him. Go watch the film. Look at all 22.
Steve.
How many times Tua has to come back for the ball?
I'm not saying every ball is perfect, but
you disagree all you want. That's fine. That's one bone I will not back down on, is that Tua bone, because he is not that good. He's not. He's a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong, and he's got some good traits. But all this anticipation bull crap, and he's accurate, is not accurate. Yeah. Period. I stand on it. You guys can talk, and you guys can disagree with me all you want, and I respect that. But that's just my opinion. I could be wrong, right? I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion.
I'm not, and I could be wrong as well. I will say though, like, I think Aaron Rodgers said this. A lot, you got to play the percentages at times, and I think Tua does that a lot. I think I think he reads the defense. He kind of expects what they're going to go into after the snap, and he predetermines where he's going to go. Now, don't get me wrong. I know he predetermines, especially when you see those bad picks. He's going there, like, no matter what, he's going there, and he's going to try to make that ball fit in. I disagree, man. I think he's really improved year after year. Unfortunately, has it led to any playoff victories? No. Has he peaked? Maybe. You know what? I'm not arguing that at all. Is every ball perfect? No. But I will say, like,
no, of course not. That's any quarterback, though, right?
Yeah, like, is that? But I've seen Josh Allen make some, as good as he is. I've seen him going.
Absolutely.
Up. He's had some terrible interceptions and super ridiculous turnovers.
100%. 100%.
But I do think he has great anticipation. I think, unfortunately, like, he predetermines a bit. So whether somebody gets rerouted or not, that ball's going to be there. And I think that's what bites him in the ass sometimes, unfortunately.
But Steve, I will say this.
No, I agree with that. Yeah. I agree with that.
And that's where you see the interceptions, right? Yeah. When he throws to a spot, like you said, and you don't anticipate that defender being there, that's when these crazy interceptions that he's like a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
But I just want to say this to kind of counter Steve's argument. I mean, Steve, I think if you ask safeties and linebackers about Tua, I think he's a pain in the neck for those
guys. They hate him.
I think he's very – now, I'm not saying Tua's not a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Tua has a ceiling. But Tua's an above-average, really good quarterback who, if you watch the throws he makes in between, I mean, the window to make those throws are incredible. I mean, not every quarterback can do that. I mean, every game you watch a throw and it's the linebacker, how did he not pick that ball off? His hands are flying and the ball's going right over his hand, dropped in between the safety. And it's whether you call it practice or reps, it's still very hard to have that sort of pinpoint accuracy. I mean, he's not Drew Brees, right? But the qualities, he's the closest thing I've seen to Drew Brees-ish since Drew. Now,
well, I'll say last night, San Fran was telling me, man, like, I've never seen Fred Warner get moved off his spot as much as he does with Tua in. And he said it last night. So I can imagine, like, he does have his qualities, especially over the middle sometimes. But it's the same thing that, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Whether you think, Steve, that he's looking off, not reading, he already knows where he's going. I mean, he's doing that's a lot to process. He's doing it pretty good.
Yeah, no doubt. He's done it since college. He's been doing it all his life. Yeah, of course it looks good.
Right. Now,
and he does it great. He does it good.
The question of him is, what's the ceiling? Does his style work? How far does it take you? Look,
that's a different question.
I will go to back what Daniel Jeremiah said last year, the year before. You can win with Tua, but guess what? You better have home field advantage. You have to. Everything has to be right. You go, 13-4. 12 and one of these teams, there's home field, you're playing in Miami, and the situations are right around him. You can win with this guy, right? Mm-hmm. But again, you also have a GM that's able to build the really good roster around him, because Tua needs kind of really good roster around him. That's the type of quarterback he is. He's not a Superman.
He needs perfection around him.
Close
he
to
needs
it,
perfection around him.
I wouldn't
if
go
he
that
doesn't,
he needs
close
perfection.
to it.
I don't think he needs perfection.
All right, but if he doesn't have, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, let me just. I saw him come in That I think it was his second year, with the worst O-line in the NFL, worst separation with receivers. And was it the best offense? No, but he moved the ball into a top 20 offense. I don't think everything has to be perfect. I just think, I think the interior has to be sound. I think he could deal with a bad tackle here and there, but I think the interior has to be sound, and I feel like he needs at least one speedy receiver to give him that, that separation as well. But I'm not saying
Well,
that you need a little more around him than I guess the top 5 quarterbacks.
Before you jump in, Steve.
No, and you guys, no,
go ahead. All right, but he's
no.
Look,
go ahead.
I think what Steve's point is he's not the guy who's going to put on the Superman cape.
Yeah,
right?
no,
he's not going to do that.
I agree, Steve. Yeah,
but how many guys are there, right? And how many? And
I know that, and this is my point too.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That's my point too, George. That's my point too, man. In order for, I don't care if you have a good line around Tua or a bad line around Tua, he's going to be himself, right? He's going to do what he does. He is what it is. We've already seen his ceiling. But here's my point. If we're going to make it to the promised land, and I agree with a lot of what you all are saying, we do need a good O-line. We do need a good defense, right? We do need, a speedy wide receiver. We need a good tight end. We need some good running backs. He needs a running game and all that, right? That's a lot of quarterbacks that need that, right? Okay, in this league. But that's my point. Okay? Tua is, if you go like a scale from 1 to 10, right? In order to make it to the Super Bowl with a quarterback, right? You need to be about an 8.5 or a 9. Tua is about a 6. And sometimes he plays up to, he'll have an 8 game. But his average from a scale from 1 to 10 he jumps between a 6 and a 7. But in order to make the Super Bowl, to have a good quarterback to make it to the Super Bowl, you need about an 8 or 9 from a scale from 1 to 10. You need about an 8 or 9.
How many?
And we don't have that.
How many 8 or 9s are there?
That's what I'm saying. You got Mahomes, you got Josh Allen, you got Lamar Jackson. Tua's probably top 20. I can name 20 quarterbacks, that are better than him.
No, not
right
20.
now.
Steve, come on. Name it. All right.
Go look at Baker. Go look at Baker Mayfield's. Go look at his stats
Baker
right now.
Go
look at is Baker May. Hold on. Is Baker Mayfield really good? Is he? Just answer me that question. Yes or no? Is he really good? Not good. Is he really good?
Really good?
Is he really good?
No.
Then go check his stats right now.
Again.
You tell me. That's my point. There's a lot of quarterbacks in this league that are a lot better than Tua Tagovailoa. Trust me. I'll make a list, and I'll go over that list with you next time I'm on your podcast, and we'll go over all that.
Hey, look, Steve is entitled to his opinion.
I'm saying in the NFL. I'm not saying in the AFC. I'm saying in all NFL. Okay, quarterbacks in the NFC and quarterbacks in the AFC. In the AFC, he's probably a top 7 or 8, maybe.
What do those teams have, though? They have GMs capable of building a roster around them.
Maybe 10 or 12.
Wait, the difference is those GMs, Kansas City, Brett Vigos is top 2 or 3 GM in the league. Look how he cooks, man. In the draft, in the free agency, and he built a great offensive line. He built that defense, changed the style of play. We don't have a GM that can do that.
Yeah.
We don't. You need that. And yes, Tua needs. Here's the problem. Tua is a really good quarterback, or even you want to say good quarterback, that needs really good players around him.
No. You say what you want, man. If you think he's really good, he's really good.
I think he's good.
Yeah, I think he's good. But
I think he's top 10. I think he's
somewhere between 8
Fair
and
enough.
14. 8 and 14.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Some days I think he's 8.
In the NFL?
I think he's 14.
In the NFL?
Yes.
You said 8 or 14 in the NFL?
8 to 14.
Okay.
Depending on the mood I'm in.
That's fair. That's fair, dude.
Okay.
No. That's fair. I just think it's 20, but that's fair.
No,
that's 14 is fair.
Look, that's what makes these shows fun that we do. If we all had the same opinion, it'd be boring to do it. You know what I mean? But here's
Kadeem,
good night.
he's in the UK, isn't he?
Hey, Kadeem, hit me up on DM and we'll talk. All right.
Shout out Kadeem, man.
Shout out
Staying
Kadeem.
up,
Get some
baby.
rest. Thank you for joining in, brother.
He's in the UK, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, he's got a good podcast.
Yeah.
I think he's in the UK.
Yeah, I'm gonna start
he's got
following him.
a very good podcast. Yep.
All right, DSG. Thank you for joining us. Catch us also next Monday when we come on. And Kadeem, yeah, he's in the UK. George, I got you. All right, thank you, buddy.
Yeah,
I got to check out Kadeem's stuff.
He's got a really good
I
podcast,
started
guys.
following me today. But anyways, where were we at? What were we talking about? Tua, right?
Yeah.
I think the big problem is, right, Tua is the type of quarterback that needs, again, really good personnel around him. Unfortunately, you don't have a GM that can do that. It doesn't match. He's not, he's not Josh Allen. He's not Lamar Jackson. You have to hit and protect him and hit on a lot of positions that we don't have the personnel department to do. So we're going to constantly be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to work for him here. But, I do disagree with Steve and Kenny, you're probably more on my side, but that's all right. That's what makes this fan base fun. That's what makes these shows fun.
Absolutely.
Don't worry, Steve. I'll still buy you a beer if you go to the stadium.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, man. Thanks.
I'm not like Twitter, but
the Tua stands hate him right now.
Yeah, man.
Right. They hate him. But anyways, and you know what? I don't like that either, right? I'm not the biggest Tua supporter, but I'm also not one of these guys who's so far the other way.
You gotta hold him accountable, man.
Yeah,
if he had a stinker against the Texans, you gotta hold him accountable, man.
I call it objectively how I see it.
Yeah.
I call it objectively how I see it.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's made strides, but he's still not a quarterback who kills games. He doesn't show up in the big games. And I just think there's a hard ceiling there. Yeah. But you can win with him, but you have to have the roster construction around him that's really good. If you brought Brett Viegel over here or the GM of the Eagles, Howie Roseman, I'd be more confident in winning with him. But I do agree with this point with Steve is, yeah, you got to keep trying, though. They got to start bringing in quarterbacks in the draft.
For sure.
Take a shot every year. You got to keep trying. I agree.
Of course, 100%,
he's not good enough for me not to try anymore. He's not Pat Mahomes where Chad Henne's my backup, and I don't look at that position.
But George, it's just in his injury history alone, you've got to bring in somebody to compete. You got to.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not, it seems like we're all forgetting this now. Let's not quarterback too is the most important position in this offseason. It seems like now that he's healthy for a few games, and this happened the first time he got hurt, Steve. He came back, he stayed healthy that whole year, and then what happened? Oh, we're fine. And then the concussion happened. Let's not have short memory loss here, and let's remember what his injury history is. We tend to forget because you put 4 games in a row and think that now he's never going to get hurt again. But
100%.
All right, let's move off to a career. Let's end it on this. Let's talk a little playoff scenarios, right?
Yep.
Oh, great.
Because we've already gone an hour and 17 minutes, but
Moses will support the Red Sea again, and then,
I don't think it's quite that. All right, I don't think it's quite that. All right, so we all know they got to win against the Browns and the Jets. They got to win both games. That's undebatable.
Right.
Now, 2 of the 3 scenarios have to happen. Chargers lose both games to the Patriots and the Raiders. I think that's the least likely of them all.
Yeah.
I think
could happen.
Yeah, could happen. I think more likely the Broncos lose to the Bengals, and especially now with the Bills win, the Chiefs might have something to play for that last game. I think that's the most likely scenario. So I think that scenario, and the last thing that would have to happen, I think it comes down to this, is the Colts losing versus the Giants or the Jaguars. They got to lose one of those games.
Oh, that's how they finish?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One or two games. One or two games.
They only got to lose one.
One.
The Dolphins win it because the Dolphins win the tiebreaker. With the exception of the Colts, they don't win the tiebreaker over.
But that's three things. 3 of those.
Two of those have to happen.
Two of those have to happen.
All right, so let's go through those. I don't know about you guys. The first one, out of the losing both games, the Broncos or the Chargers, I think more likely the Broncos. I think they could lose both of those games, actually. Yeah. They play the Bengals and the Chiefs, and the Chargers play the Patriots and the Raiders. Could happen. Just think it's least likely. So I think it comes down to, will the Colts lose against the Giants or the Jaguars? On paper, you say no, but do we trust Anthony Richardson? Like,
no.
He can have a 3 or 4 interception game. So what percentage would you guys put at that this really is 2 of those 3 options can realistically happen, and which of those two do you believe are the most realistic? We'll go with whoever wants to go first. Kenny, go ahead.
Like I've been keeping tabs on the Broncos, so I was like, like I was so confident that that they'll lose 1 or 2 games, and not even like 3 games ending the season, and they just come out so strong, especially with Bo Nix slinging that rock. I think the harder part is the Colts losing one. I know like AR is not reliable and he might drop a game, but still, like the way JT is running that ball right now and that O line is picking up, and I think that defense is playing well now, or at least better.
So you think more their best path is the Chargers and Broncos losing their last 2 games?
No, their best pass obviously is the Broncos, because obviously the Bengals are trying to stay alive as well. And I think they're gonna put a good game plan together. Do you know if that game's home or away for the Bengals?
Bengals and Bengals is their
Bengals should be away, I think.
I think they're away. I don't know. I'll have to look up their schedule. But so you would say the Broncos, and then your second scenario would be the Colts losing 1, right? Over the Chargers losing both.
Yeah.
That's my path.
Because I was looking at the Patriots Bills game on the screen at the game, and I saw that the Patriots gave like a good fight. I haven't seen how that game went out, but I saw that they were winning for a good majority of the game.
Yeah.
So that game's at Cincinnati, by the way.
At Cincinnati. Okay, so I really like the Bengals in that scenario. And then
the Chiefs, if the Chiefs got something to play for, I could see the Broncos losing both.
Yeah, so hopefully the Bills. This is the only time I'll actually root for the Bills to actually win a game, and hopefully they could get it done.
If we're gonna win the 9 games and nobody's gonna get fired, let's get in the playoffs, see what happens.
Yeah, might as well. Yeah,
that's fun. You know what I mean? Yeah. You never know. All right, Steve, what about you?
Yeah. No, I kind of follow the same path that you all are into. That's my belief. I think so. But Cincinnati, man, they've got a hell of a good offense, man. The defense has sucked.
Yeah.
But I would say it's most likely the path that you all have just laid out there for them to get into the playoffs.
Has to be.
It has to be. And I hope they do get into playoffs. Of course, I want them to get into playoffs. Whether they are one and done or not, that's yet to be determined. But we'll see. We'll see where this takes us. Did you want to talk about this Cleveland game coming up?
Yeah, let's do that. We could. DTR starting. At quarterback, not Jameis Winston, which I think is a help. I was a fan of DTR coming out of the draft. He's an athletic guy. Could give you some problem, with his legs. And of course, they got Myles Garrett. They got a good secondary.
Yeah.
The running game, Jerome Ford. He had a really nice game. The 3-12. This is a game you should win. And I think what the good thing about is that we're going to kind of, I think, put the narrative of cold weather to bed. It was more the opponent than the weather. I think so. We'll see. Right?
I agree, George. But I was looking at the weather pattern for this upcoming game, and it doesn't look like it's going to be a cold weather game.
No.
I mean, it's going to be cold.
No, windy.
48, 50 degrees is supposed to be be the weather.
That's not
Plus,
bad.
remember they flexed this game. It was supposed to be
it was
night.
It would probably be a lot colder at night.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
helps them. And to me, it's more the wind would be an issue. I guess predictions, guys. I know it's early, but your kind of thoughts. Don't give me a score, but kind of what do you think? Kind of your thoughts on the Browns game. You expect the Dolphins to win, I think, right? Both of you.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'll say this. DSG, I saw your last comment there.
Which one?
Wouldn't it be so Dolphins that everything goes our way and then we lose against the Jets?
Wow.
Then Greer might get fired.
Then Greer gets fired right there.
You know what? I don't think so.
I don't even think so. I think it's gone already.
No, it's this. As far as we need. That's a dead horse, man. Let's put it.
Yeah.
Nobody going, man. Ain't nobody going.
But I got us winning handily, hopefully. So I think especially with now, I didn't know that the weather was going to be 50. So there's no excuse. They got to go in there. You're still fighting for something. Oh, I guess they're going to know if they're still fighting for something before the game.
Yeah, I heard. Because it's a 4:00 game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, and I think there's Saturday games. I think I could be lying.
Yes,
I
you're
read
right.
that
There
too.
is some Saturday games.
Kenny, you bring up a good point. I read that.
Yeah.
Don't know if they're still alive in the playoff situation when they hit the field.
So I mean, regardless, I'm always gonna say if you're playing a game, man, you play to win. So I think our team is better than them at this point. You got a starting cornerback. We got a run game kind of going now with win back in. So I expect to win, man. Let me get a 26-19 victory.
Oh, close. And I want to say this. When I say worst possible scenario, obviously short term, it's funner to watch a win. I'm saying long term for the franchise.
No, I get it.
That's what I mean. Worst case scenario.
Yeah. Short term, long term, I'm always gonna root for a victory.
Yeah, I know Kenny's a positive guy. Kenny is the most optimistic.
I try.
He has They shot him up with hope.
We need those guys.
Because I'm scarred, man. I'm scarred. I'm abused. I'm scarred.
I'm hurt. Like I said, I've been a fan since 1969. Man, you can imagine how many scars I got, right? I mean, I was good in the 70s, man. It was good in some of the 80s with Marino and all that. But anyway, so look, we should win this game handedly, like Kenny said. I think it is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be like a 23-17 game. Now, we could lose this game too.
Yeah.
I think we should win this game, and we're going to win the game. That's what I think. But I wouldn't be surprised if we do lose the game.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I think
reason why I say that is because I know everybody's all hyped about we beat San Francisco and Tua looked good, and he did. And and Achane looked good, and the defense came to life and all that. But I'm not going to buy into it as much as I've had in the past. I have just a little bit of hopium left.
Yeah.
But
it never
not
goes away.
very
You
much.
never get on E. That's the
agree.
problem.
I've been a diehard fan, man.
Yeah.
I've been through thick and thin. So
it's almost
gotta
like
have a little hopium.
They love to torture us. They never can just get to bed and we can start talking about it's always they're going to keep it going. And that's sort of the problem, actually. It is with the French.
Yeah,
they've always been good enough to not be good enough, right? All right, so I'll go with I think the Dolphins defense will show up. I'd be surprised if I'll go 24-12 Dolphins.
Nice.
And
I can see that. I can see
that. I would say this goes on this. Anthony Weaver has squeezed every ounce out of those defensive players, and I'll give him a lot of credit for that.
I do too. Hopefully he'll be back next year. We'll see.
Yeah, I think he will. I don't think I have trouble. These defensive coaches usually take a little longer than these offensive coaches to get the job.
Yeah.
Teams tend to kind of lean towards the offensive guys.
Quickly. Do we have an update on Chubb?
Yeah, I don't think Chubb ain't playing this year.
I don't think
so. They opened the window, no?
Yeah, but would you do that though?
No. I'm just asking.
Yeah.
I
don't know. Yeah, I saw the window. I don't know definitely if he's playing or not. So it's a possibility. But I'm saying,
No, like I wouldn't play him either, but I know they opened the window, so I thought you had to do it by the 21 days, I think.
Yeah, he has 21 days.
Yeah. This would be his last eligible, I guess.
I think it was this week, wasn't it? Was his last week? Yeah, I think it was.
I think if there's a shot, it's the last game of the season, or if they make the playoffs.
But if they don't open it, like if they don't activate him during that window, it's done, no?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just asking.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Would you? I don't see him. I wouldn't do it because they also have he has an injury thing in his contract. So you bring him back, he gets hurt, then you
Byron
stuck
Jones
on your
situation
books.
again.
Yeah. So
okay.
I think we'll end it on that, guys. Guys,
all right, man.
All right. So thank you, Kenny. Thank you, Steve. Guys, plug your stuff. Kenny, plug your stuff first. Where can they find you and all your takes on Twitter?
Just on Twitter, man. 1896 Vice, man. You can find me out there. You can get mad at me if you want.
Yeah.
I'll still buy your beer at the stadium if you show your face.
Everybody follow Kenny. He's a great follow.
I'm gonna take Kenny up on that beer.
Of course.
Come when you guys are. Yeah, well, Steve, when you come down, you definitely gotta let us know.
Yeah. 100%.
100%. Yeah.
You doing Real Talk Fizz Talk Christmas Eve tomorrow?
I might. I'm not sure if I'm going to have it yet. I've got some family issues going on right now.
Okay.
That I'm trying to work through here. But normally, you all can catch me on Real Talk Fins Talk on the Fins Talk Sports Network at 6:30. 6:30. No, my bad. I'm in Central Time. It'd be 7:30 Eastern Standard Time every Tuesday. Sometimes, if I have things that I might get a little behind, and you might catch me at about 8 p.m. Eastern Time. But normally I'll put it out there when I'll come on. But it's usually 7:30 Eastern Time. You can catch me there.
Yeah, check out his show on the Fins Talk Sports.
And I'm on Twitter too, Steve Malloy 72. You may not like what I say sometimes, but hey, it's all fun, right? It's just a game, and it's all fun, man.
Yeah.
So I enjoy coming on your podcast, George. I really appreciate you for having me on. We had a nice little debate on the Tua topic.
Yes, sir.
And
I love those, man. I love those.
Me too, man.
One thing I love about these shows is you never know where they're going to go. They take a life of its own. And you guys are two of my favorites to have on. So everybody,
thank you, brother.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays. Everybody.
Happy Nochebuena.
Yeah, hey. 305.
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad, baby.
Everybody have a happy, safe holiday, and we'll see you next Monday. Guys, thank you so much. As always, stay Fins faithful. We're out.